are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fireside Chat number 71, where we'll be discussing the hashtag MeToo and male rape victims with Caeruleus Valentinius, or we would just call him K for short. K is a YouTuber who is trying to advocate for men's equality under the law in the UK. He lives in the London area, so it's probably a good deal later over there than it is over here. Thank you, Kay, for joining us on this call.
Thank you for having me on.
Well, it's nice to have you. And for those of you guys who are in the chat that are watching, if you have any questions for Kay, feel free to send us a super chat. I'll read it live on the air. Otherwise, if I have really good questions, I may just read them. I will be trying to pay attention to the chat as we're going to be talking about Kay's story. So, allow me to set some things up. So in the wake of this Harvey Weinstein Hollywood scandal that's broken out, there's been a lot of talk around, people coming forward with their stories of sexual harassment, sexual assault, or even outright rape. And it's been coming from all different angles. Obviously, Hollywood celebrities have come forward and people in, high positions in the tech industry. But as with all things that relate to, that are sort of like treated as ungendered problems that people everywhere in all parts of the world of all different types tend to face, the direction inevitably gets shifted when feminists and social justice warriors co-opt the thing and they basically make it about them or their little pet projects, little purse puppies, their oppressed groups. So there was this Me Too hashtag, and the Me Too hashtag was essentially a way for people to spread awareness about their own victimization and their own stories. And it ended up devolving into this thing where it was only for the women's, and men that came forward to try to talk about their problems were essentially laughed at, kicked out, otherwise ostracized, called distracted. They were called out supposedly for distracting from the real problem and this kind of thing. So first thing I guess I wanted to ask is why would I be talking about this Me Too hashtag and then have this specific guest on? Well, because Kay here has actually experienced, I guess what you could call rape, right? So Kay, could you tell us a little bit about could you tell us the story of what happened with you? And then, I guess we'll just go from there.
Yes. One night around about 6 years ago when I was 18, I had an argument with my then girlfriend. The argument was so silly and non-essential that I can't even remember what the topic of the argument was. All I know is I left to walk home. I'd bumped into my quote-unquote mutual friend, who was a friend of my girlfriend's at the time, I know it sounds ridiculous, but it seems like she was out looking for me, because she found me all too easily, like she knew where I was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, had an argument with my girlfriend, was feeling a bit down because obviously I loved her and etc. etc. So she invited me back to her place to talk about it because at the time I thought she was a mutual friend.
So this is a female mutual friend of you and your at the time girlfriend, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
When she invited me back to her house for some drinks to chat and basically do what friends do, because obviously at the time my own personal friends had their own girlfriends and families, because some of them started young, and so they were busy. So she was all I had to talk to. I went back. We started having a drink, started to have a laugh, and that. After a couple of hours, she disappeared into the kitchen. I thought she was just going to go get a couple more beers because we had just finished them. Obviously, the kitchen was behind us, so I didn't see or hear her coming. Next thing I know, I've got a kitchen knife up against my neck. And she pushed it so hard, into my neck, it it's left a little scar on my neck because it drew blood. I'll spare everyone the details, but about 10 hours later, I left because she had finally stopped essentially raping me. I just went home like nothing had happened, and yeah.
So she held you at knife point and essentially forced you to have sex with her upon
Yes.
threat of injury.
Yeah.
And you guys stayed there for 10 hours?
Yeah. What? Give or take about 15 minutes. It was, all I know is the sun had come up and it was near midday by the time it had finished. And I'd left my girlfriend's house about 1 a.m.
All right. Now, how long ago was this?
When I was 18, so 6 years ago.
Okay. What did you go to anyone after it happened?
Not immediately. I stayed secluded. I stayed secluded so much that the relationship with my girlfriend at the time broke down and we split up.
Let's see.
I just secluded myself in my room. Didn't talk to anyone, didn't go out with friends.
Did you did your then girlfriend did she ever learn what had happened? Did you ever eventually tell anyone about this? Or is this like video that you made on YouTube sort of like your, I don't know, first sort of actual reveal of this event?
I've spoken about it a little here and there, to obviously like personal friends and obviously to Alison when I channel, but I've never went into much detail as I did on the video. That's the first time I've put that much detail into it.
So I guess it would seem to me that you never went to the police. Did you ever go to the police?
I did around about 6 weeks after it happened.
Okay, 6 weeks.
6 months after it happened.
Oh, okay. And
I
what happened?
the looks on their faces was, we don't believe you. And they outright told me that what happened to me doesn't have a definition under UK law, because it can't count as sexual assault, because sexual assault and rape in the UK are very gendered subjects, or laws, should I say. It requires a man and a penis to do it. There is one that it could fall under if she had used an object, and that's sexual assault with an object, but she didn't. So
she forced you inside of her. It's more like envelopment, right?
Yes.
Okay. And there's nothing for that. Not even just regular assault would apply?
I've been racking my brain for the last 6 years looking for how it could fall under specific laws, and I've found nothing.
I see.
Maybe I'm blind to a couple of things, but from my personal looking, I can't find anything.
All right. Well, I will say in the US, because there are people in the chat that are saying that the UK has weird laws. It's not that weird, unfortunately. In the United States, we only recognize that male rape victims at the hands of females in 2013. They recently changed the law. Before that, it was described as something that a man did to a woman. And it was only after that that it essentially became a more, applicable term across the board. So, so yeah, it's not that unusual, unfortunately. Forced envelopment is not considered rape in the U.S. until now, I guess. And even then, I think that they actually just consider it to be sexual assault, which is a less severe crime. So you went to the police and they didn't believe you. They told you that there was nothing that they could do. And did it have anything to do with the fact that it had been 6 months since it happened?
Uh, I I don't think so, because I think the statute of limitations on that sort of reporting is 5 years in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it was. I think it. I went to the police faster than most people do, because most people wait a couple of years before they report something,
Right.
well, especially with that magnitude of crime.
Yeah. And when this happened, did you live with your family or did you live alone or something? Or you lived with your family.
Yes.
So you went back home and you essentially closed yourself off to the world. Is that right? You said you secluded yourself for a while.
Yes.
And did anyone in your family ever figure something was wrong and try to figure, like take some initiative, figure out what was going on with you, or did you, I don't know, like I guess what I'm wondering is that were there any, if you weren't reaching out to other people, were other people reaching out to you? Were other people taking notice that there was a change in your behavior and trying to like, figure out what the issue was? Stuff like that.
No.
No. Okay.
Uh, I've always been sort of like an introvert, because I was bullied all through my teenage years at school. So I usually just stayed in. So my parents thought it was just me being normal,
Yeah.
and me being a moody teenager because I'd broken up with my girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they just thought that was the reason.
Okay.
It's only been recently where I've had enough courage to tell them what actually happened.
And this woman who did this to you, or girl, or whatever, do you know anything about where she is now? Like what she's up to, or have you kind of like lost contact with everyone that knew her?
I've distanced myself from everyone from my old area where it happened.
Uh huh.
I I moved, and I've completely blocked all ties,
Right.
because I don't want nothing to do with what happened over there.
Yeah. Yeah. But is it? Do you think it's possible that like this was not a one-off for her, and that she could have done this before you, and also be doing this to other people after you?
I honestly don't know. She seems the type of person who, if she can't get away with having sex with a man, would do it again.
Mm-hmm.
She's she seems the type of girl slash woman who would, I'm God's gift to men sort of attitude. Like she can do no wrong.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think that's something of a concern because she could be hurting other people if she probably has, and she got away with it in your case. So we're looking at someone does something like that and they get away with it, then they're probably more inclined to do it again. So yeah, this is a big problem. So then, uh, how long or what made you decide to come forward and talk about your story?
It's going to sound really shallow, but I saw another YouTuber doing it. So that's what I thought. That would be addressing the issue with women.
Mm-hmm.
It's about time people learnt that men go through it too. So I used my own personal story as a way to say it happens to men. And if you know any men that it has happened to, or if you are a man that it has happened to, go to the police, because the more men that go to the police about it, the more it should be recognised under law.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because
By
it'll
the
bring. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, there was just one other thing as an aside I forgot to mention. Guys, if let me know how my sound is. I know that sometimes we have issues with my volume being too low or too high or whatever, but let me know how I sound. I'm looking at the chat. But as an aside, I'm going to go back to the sorry for that because that's really off topic. But okay, everyone says it sounds fine. So yes, this is the reason why I thought it was important because I mean I can't obviously what's done is done. We can't go back in time, but you know, and you were pretty young at the time too. But if something like this happens, and you don't go to the police as soon as possible, or go to someone that you can trust and tell them, then you know you're the chances I think of the person getting away with it starts to increase over time. Of course, if you never say anything, then other people will inevitably be hurt. And yeah, maybe coming forward doesn't fix anything. Maybe nothing changes, but you can't at least say that you did that. You made that effort. And as long as more people learn about it, then this stuff won't be ignored, right? Like after a while, you're going to have regular folks that are going to see the stories and they're going to say, why isn't something being done about this? And you have a better chance of, collectively, we have a better chance of making some changes. So this other YouTuber that did this was a woman?
Transgender, Blair White.
Oh, yeah, Blair White. Okay, yeah. I saw Blair White's video about it too. So basically, Blair White inspired you to do the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
so I thought if she can talk about hers, then there should be no reason I can't talk about mine.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And when you talked about yours, I see that, you know, your channel's not big. It's you know, it's not a big channel, but you know, you got support in the comments and stuff. But what other what kind of reactions did you get across the board? You know, positive and negative.
Yeah, positive from everybody who is not a feminist, and from everyone who is a feminist. I basically got told to stop derailing the conversation from women.
Of course. So your actual experiences, as terrible as they are, you can't talk about them because women might feel left out of the conversation that they obviously dominate. Is that the idea?
Yeah, that's effectively the idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was in a Twitter quote unquote spat with someone, and I posted the CDC statistics that show that men are raped just as often as women. It's just not put under rape like it should be.
Yeah, like you were saying in your story, the police say, well, this isn't something we have a category for. So does that mean rape didn't happen just because the law doesn't have, you know, doesn't include it in the description? Obviously, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And this feminist came back and said, because I've got a screenshot of it on my phone, call me where there's an epidemic of this, i.e. women raping men. Call me when every man you know has been molested in his sleep by a woman. Until then, stop derailing bullshit.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
She also said that the CDC was, obviously the CDC statistics of made to penetrate was quote unquote MRA propaganda.
So so men getting raped is MRA propaganda?
Yes.
Nice. All right. Well, so okay, before we keep going, Joey Jojo gives us $5 and writes, "It really does feel like most women, most not all, hate men, only view men as a utility at best. Do you think this could change or no?" Well, I don't know that I would say that most women hate men. I disagree with that statement. I don't think it's easy to know what most women believe, but I do think that the ones that tend to have the loudest voices, the ones that tend to be, you know, the most sort of vocal about their virtue signaling online, make it look like that's what women feel. So I guess, you know, I could see how you could come to that conclusion, but no, most women don't feel that way. Remember, feminism doesn't speak for most women. They just claim to. And yes, there are a lot of women that will be vocal about their hatred, but you have to like keep in perspective the number of women that don't say anything because they disagree, but at the same time, being silent is not the same as being complicit. It's just that there's a lot of social concern people have about whether or not they should agree with a position and be vocally in support of it, or be silent or disagree. And when it comes to left wing, authoritarian, socialist, constructivist shit, vocalizing opposing opinions against it has shown that it could be socially detrimental. Like, how many friends have you lost online because you shared your opinions? People who you've known. I mean, I've lost friends I've known for years, and it's because I crossed the line, the Overton window, as it were, and I basically express opinions that are unpopular, and people think that it's dangerous, so they distance themselves. But that doesn't necessarily mean that is what most people feel. I just think that most people are silent on it. So I wouldn't agree with that. But anyway, that being said, so these hateful cunts online, they started another hashtag, right? Is it them that did that? The him though, or the him though
Yes.
hashtag?
Yes.
So what's the him though hashtag?
The him though hashtag is essentially feminists saying, yes, it's all well and good that we're saying we're victims too, but what we should address is that him though. Obviously, he's to blame.
Yeah.
I've got on my PC, because obviously I've just recently done a video about it, where I displayed a lot of them, and one of them says, I've got 4 screenshots. I'm proud of women for sharing their stories on Me Too, but we need to shift about how we talk about sexual assault, so I'm starting hashtag him though. Me Too, I was sexually harassed, physically and verbally attacked, but what about him though? Who decided it's a woman's job to fix men? Why is the burden always on the woman? I'm done pretending sexual assault is a woman's issue. Your shame is not ours. No, sir. Hashtag him, though. And it's ludicrous to say sexual assault is a woman's issue. Men are victims too, and in a vast majority of cases, they're perpetrators. Him, though.
I see a couple too. I went and looked it up. Here's one by someone named @Nicolette. She wrote, "They are all innocent until proven guilty, but not me. I am a liar until I am proven honest." Hashtag me too. Hashtag him though. Hashtag balance to what? NPORC? I don't know what that means.
Non-binary people of color.
Oh god. Non-binary people of color.
I'm ashamed of myself that I know that.
Oh god. Well, yeah. So sorry, Nicolette, but that's the way the law works. Innocent until proven guilty. That doesn't mean that you're a liar until you're proven honest. It means that we shouldn't just take your words at face value. Otherwise, you get witch hunts. Jesus Christ! People want do you guys really want us to go back to the southern United States in the 1930s, where a white woman can just say she was raped by a black man and they just go and string him up because my fucking innocent until proven guilty? Is that really what you want?
I mean, think about it. If you do the maths, obviously this is going from United States statistics. Around about 93,000 people, I won't say women, I say people, are raped per year in the United States. Obviously, this is excluding prison. Now, if we take this often cited 8% false accusation rate that feminists tout, that equals 7,680 false accusations per year. Now, that could, if we do what feminists want and listen, hashtag listen and believe, that would be 7,680 innocent men in prison per year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And here's the thing too. Okay. I'm not letting, because I know that, feminism is a left-wing ideology. We know that. Criticize the left all the time. But the right doesn't get a free pass because they will still, on some level, there are pundits on the right that often ignore the whole innocent until proven guilty thing too. As an example, while they don't have a problem jumping on the let's all bash Harvey Weinstein train, which, considering there's really strong evidence against him, that's completely fair, as well as Roman Polanski. But when it comes to sexual accusations against guys like Bill Cosby or Donald Trump, if they don't like him, if they're like never Trumpers or whatever, then they will treat that as though these are real things. And in fact, Bill Cosby is basically considered to have done everything that he's accused of, even though it's not it hasn't been proven, and he hasn't suffered any consequences because they can't prove it. So in a way, you have to let it go, but they won't. So, and this is important because you have to put your partisan politics aside and just look at things in the most non sort of partisan way possible. You just like look at it like, okay, is there evidence against this person? Has this been proven? If it hasn't, then they're not guilty. Let them go. Stop talking about it. It's a done deal. I mean, you can speculate if you want to, but you have to recognize it's not worth much, because if the legal system hasn't found it, then that's it. It's just true. Okay? If they go to prison, then they go to prison. And also recognize that, when this is the reason why I get upset about this. When you say that guys like Harvey Weinstein or whatever preyed on women, you are taking away women's agency in this transaction. You have to understand that in a lot of these cases, this is not rape if the women said, yes, I'll take your fame and money and your instant riches for sexual favors. Assuming that they're, not underage or whatever. That's a victimless crime that happened. It's fucked up. I don't like it, but you can't go around saying this guy's responsible, this chick is innocent. That's bullshit. And I would say the same thing for the Bill Cosby thing. Like, for example, they, and I won't belabor this point because I know it's distracting a little bit from what we're talking about. They said, well, it's been proven that Bill Cosby gave these women drugs. Yeah, sure. That does not mean that they didn't want them. That does not mean that he drugged them without their knowledge. That doesn't mean any of that. That means that they took drugs with him. That means that they chose to do it. Yes, women take drugs. Sometimes they like to do it. Okay? So that's not a guilty verdict. That's not a person preying on somebody else. That's two people coming together and doing whatever they want to do. So feel whatever you want to about what they're doing, but unless it's proven that something was happening without consent, it doesn't exist. So anyway, all right. So going back to this him though thing, or the Me Too hashtag. So you got a lot of pushback for it. You made a video on it. For whatever reason, feminists didn't seem to like this very much. Now that you've done this video and you've kind of like talked about what you wanted to, how do you feel about having done it? Do you regret it? Is it helping you in any way? Is it kind of cathartic at all? What?
It's actually helped me in a way to get it out there rather than to not suffer, but go through it alone. It's actually helped me know that there are people out there that care. So, yeah, in a way, it has been cathartic to actually speak about it.
That's good. That's good. And I guess I'm curious. Have you been able to get any help since that, like therapy or counseling of any kind?
I tried therapy, but it didn't really work for me.
And can you tell me a little bit about what it was you got and why it didn't work for you?
I basically got a therapy because I went into a spiral of depression and drug addiction. So the therapy was to deal with the depression that came from it. Obviously, I got clean myself. I've stayed away from it ever since. But as I was speaking about my experiences, because mostly the people were women, it might have been paranoia, but it sort of looked like they were judging me.
So you're saying the therapists or the people that you were talking to, most of them were women?
Yes.
And so you didn't feel comfortable talking to them, or you didn't feel like you were going to get the help you needed, kind of a thing?
Yeah, it was sort of like they weren't really paying attention, just going through the motion.
I just did that, but I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to do that. No, yeah, that's got to be tough because with your experience being what it is, and the thing is, it might be a lot of people in the therapy sort of business, they get their education comes with feminist ideology kind of packed in, right? Like packaged as part of their education. So when they go into the profession, they have like a degree of bias that's been instilled, and it's obviously hashtag not all, but this could be something that either is actually happening to you, or if you have knowledge that bias exists from academia and it's sort of like informing their job and how they do their job, then you might be suspicious that they don't care. So I can understand why you didn't feel like it was working for you. Was it just sort of therapy in terms of just like sitting down with a counselor and talking to them, or a therapist rather, or were you also seeking some kind of medical chemical solution, like pills or drugs or whatever?
Well, I've been put on antidepressants, but that's through a different reason. But,
Okay.
which is almost as heartbreaking as what I went through. So that I needed.
Yeah.
But when it came to the therapy, it was just basically sat down speaking to someone about it.
Right. Right. Okay, can we go back to the night that it happened?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so before I get into that, I'm going to ask the chat again. If you guys have any questions for Kay, just put them in there, and I'll ask him the questions if I see any good
I
ones.
did say a while back. I can't
okay.
remember who put it. Oh, actually, her name's just popped up. Caitlin Bianchi or something. Just what she said a while back. What advice would you give to men who have been victims of rape or something along those lines?
Mm-hmm.
My advice would just be get to the police as soon as it's happened, because here in the UK, the more men we can get speaking about it, the more they might recognise it under law, and the more men we can get justice for in the future.
Okay.
It's too late for me, but that's what I aim to do, is to get...
All right. And Oi Sandera sent you a question too. He says, it's a bit of an odd one, but what drugs did you have issues with?
Cocaine.
Cocaine is his
Yes.
answer. Okay. And then Kay, does doing things like the interview you're in right now have any therapeutic effect on you? Does it help you heal at all? That's Florida Catfish that asked that.
Yes, it allows me to speak about it and
Yeah.
get out the negative emotions.
All right. Bunny Blackwell. Hey, Bunny. She says, you still live in your head, Kay. You can heal from this. So, Bunny is offering support, as she is apt to do. And I don't see her around here very often, so she was clearly interested in this one.
I haven't spoken to Bunny in quite a long time, because obviously the Twitter that she was following of me was suspended.
Right. So, okay, going back to that night. So, this female friend.
Yes.
When you guys were sitting around drinking for hours, did you have absolutely no clue that she was interested in sex with you before that happened?
No
Like,
clue.
where did the conversation even get sexual at all? Because I know that sometimes with friends, if they have the potential for sexual compatibility, a conversation could get sexual in a teasing and flirtatious way, even if nothing happens. So I was just wondering if there was any lead up, anything, or did this just come out of like nowhere, and you guys had no history, no sexual tension, nothing like that before?
I think she liked me, but I have no clue about that, because obviously I didn't really notice it, because at the time I was in a relationship.
Yes,
So
yes.
my sort of like radar to detect that sort of thing was shut off.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's actually often the thing with guys is they don't know. They usually don't know when girls like them because they they keep it pretty secret. But yeah, I'm not really sure that she liked you if she would if she was willing to do that. Okay, and 10 hours is a really long time. So was it just sort of like like were there breaks? And I'm not making jokes. I'm actually asking questions. Was this like a a marathon or what? Like I don't. I'm
You could
having a
call
hard
it,
time imagining this. Is what I'm saying. So
yeah, you could call it a marathon.
okay,
I couldn't climax.
you couldn't what? Oh, you
Climax.
couldn't climax. Okay, but she just used you anyways.
Yeah.
And was there any were there any injury? Did you suffer any injuries from this? Like, did she aside from the cut on your neck? Was there any
No,
other violence?
no, it was just a knife.
Okay, all right.
Yes, I
And
have to.
go ahead.
I was about to say I have to grow a beard, otherwise I don't think it's. I think it's faded now, but I can. It might sound weird, but I can still feel it there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I grow a beard to hide it.
Okay. And did she keep the knife like close by or in her hand the whole time, or did you like just decide to I don't know, was she able to overpower you aside from outside of that for one?
If it hadn't been for the knife, no.
Okay. And did she keep the knife nearby the entire time?
Yeah,
Like where you basically felt like you were under constant threat and so you just went along with it until it was over?
yeah.
Okay. And how did you know it was okay for you to leave? Because I mean, 10 hours is a long time, so I don't know. Did she throw
She
you
fell
out?
asleep.
She fell asleep. Okay, so you snuck away.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. Um. Yeah, that's tough, man. Okay, so let me see if there's any other comments here that are other questions. Do you feel Schneidelwoods? I hope this is a real question. Writes, do you feel betrayed by your body because the erection happened under these circumstances?
No,
And
because obviously it's a natural bodily reaction.
yeah, he said, I would most definitely if I was a man and if I was in that situation. Well,
No,
yeah, we can't really control that. I mean,
it's
women get wet too when they get raped, but doesn't mean it's
yeah.
okay.
No, I mean
Obviously.
it's a natural. It's going to happen under any circumstances of stimuli.
Mm-hmm.
It's inevitable.
Yeah. Any other questions, you guys? Again, thank you so much for talking about this stuff. It's pretty. It's a pretty wild, story. So, but you didn't actually climax, which I guess makes perfect sense. Jax L writes, ask about how the feminists treated him when he went to the survivors group. Okay, so you went to a survivors group.
Yes, yes, I did. It was
All right.
in my natural, not natural, nearest town hall sort of
Okay.
thing. They were holding a survivors meeting, so I went along because obviously what happened to me, and I effectively got told it was for women only and it couldn't happen to men.
So the were you the only man there?
Yes, I was the only man to turn up.
Okay. The only man that turned up, yeah. So you went there and they didn't want you there because you were a man, essentially, right? They said this is for women only.
Yeah, because it could be quote unquote triggering for women to see a man about,
Right.
and that it can't happen to men, so there was no point me being there.
That's crazy. All right, so did you look to see? Are there any? I guess there might not be, but I just have to ask: are there any places that men who have experiences like this can go? That you know of in your area?
Not in my immediate area, no. I
Oh,
think
okay.
the nearest one, if I was to go to one, would be in the Midlands.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
obviously, most people don't have the money to get there.
Yeah. Right. So no, there's nothing that's terribly useful. Exactly.
Not really.
All right. So yeah, obviously there is a vacancy. There is a void that needs to be filled. All right. Let's see. The non-professional asks, do hobbies help you? And if they do, what are they? Well, I guess that's a good question. So I want to piggyback onto that question and add, assuming depending on what your answer to this question is, what kind of stuff do you do to help you, um, just sort of with this or with all of the issues that come with having an experience like this?
I obviously do my YouTube channel, which helps a great deal. It keeps my mind off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to read studies so that when I do engage with feminists, I can debunk their lies.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously reading the studies from start to finish is so much more helpful rather than just cherry picking a select paragraph that fits the narrative.
Yeah.
Like when most women or feminists say that the men perpetuate 98% of rapes, that's what I come back in with. Well, when I ask them a question that they never seem to be able to ask me is, if I state that only women can shoplift, who would the stats show commits the most shoplifting?
Mm-hmm.
They can never seem to ask. They divert away from the question or change the subject because they know that if they come back and say women, then I've got them. Because when you have rape laws that are gendered to show that only men can commit said laws, of course you're going to have incredibly skewed data.
Yeah. Absolutely. Obviously. And so you have your YouTube channel, and you like do read studies. Anything else?
Mainly football or soccer. I like to watch that, but apart from that, I just stick to speaking to friends on Twitter, my YouTube channel, and reading studies and statistics.
Okay. All right. Do you like animals? Do you have any pets?
6 cats.
6 cats. Holy shit. Okay. That just thinking about that is making my everything swell up and my nose is running and my eyes are getting itchy. I'm super allergic to cats. I'd probably die if I went to your place.
Oh,
It would kill me. I'm really allergic though. It's like it's bad. So I can't be around cats. I can't take it. That's why I'm a dog person. All right, so
well,
go
I'm
ahead.
allergic to dogs, so
Oh, really? Oh, well, it's a good thing
yes,
you're on the TV screen and not in the room. So,
yeah.
okay, so somebody's saying, "Do you like turtles?" I like turtles. Um,
Everyone likes turtles.
yeah, I don't have a problem with turtles. They're fine. So let's see if there's any other questions. Caeruleus, do you see yourself progressing in terms of dealing with the trauma? If not, what do you think would help?
I do feel like I'm progressing. It's getting easier to talk about. Before I used to stutter, stammer through responses and stuff like that because of obviously the memories, but
Hmm.
it's getting easier to talk about
Yeah,
because being in the men's rights community, there are more people that are willing to listen.
yeah, yeah. Uh, the determined lad adds another question, although it's a little weird looking. He says, "At Honey Badger Radio, hey, I know Caeruleus is okay. If can have a quick chat with him about COG,
Uh,
COG."
yeah, but I think he means cognitive thought.
Oh, cognitive thought. Okay. I guess
Yeah.
does he want to talk to you about like outside of this, maybe,
I
or
don't know, but
okay?
if he wants to,
He's talking
uh,
about the YouTuber cognitive thought.
I
Okay.
think so.
All right. Yeah, I like him. He's good. All right. So let's see if there's any other good questions. Give me some good questions, guys. Leslie Maxwell says, on a happier note, the rise of Trapistan, a now offshoot of Kekistan. Will you join the revolution?
Yeah, it could seem like fun, so why not?
That's right.
As long as it's having fun.
That's right. All right. Let's see here. I'm not seeing any other questions. I'm just going to wait a little bit, see if anything comes through. If you have anything that you would like to add or whatever, just let me know. Jill the Red Hedgehog says, there was a recent post on Reddit where hundreds of men shared stories of when they experienced sexual assault by women. Most of the responses were very positive and supportive. Well, that's good to hear. I would think that, like I was saying before, most people are probably going to be empathetic and supportive of that stuff, especially if the men were younger, like if they're boys. I think that you'd be hard pressed for people to be able to dismiss that outright. Although I think that a lot of people, again, maybe it's one of those things that it's hard for them to look at and accept as reality. For example, with this whole Harvey Weinstein scandal coming out, it doesn't surprise me that this has been going on in Hollywood for a while because we knew it was. So, what are your thoughts on that? On this whole Weinstein thing?
I think it's a man that should seriously be locked up for what he did. Obviously, the rapes that weren't consensual, but the women that obviously did it consensually should admit that. Not admit, but what's the word I'm looking for?
Own up?
That's the one. Own up to their own agency.
Yeah.
That they took part in it, and it was consensual and.
They should own their shit.
Basically.
As Karen puts it, own your shit.
Yeah.
And absolutely. Also, it's something to consider is for the people that were victims. Those people should have come forward as soon as possible. This is exactly what we were just talking about. Not doing that is essentially making it to where he's going to hurt other people. And it's hard to actually see justice done because for some reason people in Hollywood they have a lot of outs. I mean, the guy fled the country right after this whole thing broke, and it looked like he was going to get convicted of something. Suddenly he left for Europe, and then he I think they gave him, or they put him in, he's like doing he was doing some counseling or some kind of work because of sex addiction is what they're calling it. And a week later, as of today actually, he's out. He's like, well, I'm done with my sex addiction. Ooh, that was rough, And it's like, does he just get to dodge the law like that? I hope not. And again, innocent until proven guilty and everything else, but he has to go through the process. Roman Polanski left too, and there are women in Hollywood like Meryl Streep that praise both of these people. Praise them.
She gave Roman Polanski a standing ovation. I mean, yes, he should have the innocent until proven guilty on some things, but some of them he has admitted to, so he should definitely go down for those ones.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no need for the innocent until proven guilty for that one because he's admitted it. They've basically got a confession.
Yes.
Obviously, he should still have his day in court, but
right,
he should still go down for those.
Yes, and the reason why I bring it up, despite the fact that there is a confession, is to keep in perspective. Because the thing is, look, let's say that a person, doesn't matter who it is accused of rape or sexual assault by 100 people. And let's say that person confesses to raping 10 of those people. The thing he should be tried for are all the ones that can be proven. So just because there's 100 accusations doesn't mean that there's 100 convictions. That's the reason why I'm pointing it out. So, for what he did, because the thing is, when it comes to the internet, people there's a lot of people on there that just want attention, and they will say whatever they need to say to get it. I'm sorry, but it's true. And Hollywood is notorious for that. People in Hollywood want attention. People everywhere want attention. So when an accusation comes out, and there could be some that are absolutely valid and absolutely credible, for every one of those is credible, God knows how many come out that are not credible. And we have to keep those things separate, because people will lie, they will slander, they will say whatever to, get get attention or get revenge or whatever it is they want. And it has to be like, we have to remain clear on what is real and what is not real. So in the case of Weinstein, whatever he's admitted to, whatever he's been caught in doing, whatever's actually, a convictable offense, I don't know if convictable is a word, but then those are the things he should definitely suffer the, whatever the full extent of the law is on. But all the other stuff that's just like, it could be consensual and they're just calling it rape, or it didn't happen at all, or it's very ambiguous, or whatever, those things have to be kept separate until we know more about them. And if they're lying, then there should be consequences for that too. Even if the person you're lying about is a scumbag, that doesn't mean that you're not also a scumbag for lying about them. So that's the reason why I bring that up. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Hugo Lin says, do you have any advice for, or wise words for men who are going through the same shit as you did, or even those faced or are facing sexual harassment? Tell somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the authorities. Tell somebody it's happening. Because the quicker you can do that, the quicker that person will be...
yeah.
I keep getting my words jumbled up. Could be jailed for their crime.
Mm-hmm.
Or arrested.
It's tough because, men are less likely to complain. Men are also generally less likely to find something as offensive. Like, they're less likely to be upset by that stuff. So if a man is, if a woman receives what she perceives to be sexual assault or sexual harassment, a man is less likely to see it that way. I mean, technically, I've been sexually assaulted multiple times in my life. Not like raped or anything, but what's sexual assault according to the way a feminist would think of it, or the way many women would think of it. Like, I remember once when I was 18, I was walking home from school, and it was a long walk. I wanted to do this a long way, and it was really late at night too, for some reason. Oh, because I was at my girlfriend's house, and she lived close to the school, and so I left there, and it was pretty late, and it was at night, and I was walking through this kind of sketchy part of Chicago. I know, we have those. It's crazy. And there was a prostitute that approached me, and I didn't know, like, where I was walking through was prostitutes all over, and there was this disgusting pregnant prostitute that walked over to me and grabbed my junk and offered services. And she just kept grabbing my junk. Like, she just held on for a good minute while she offered my services. And I just said, no, I'm sorry, I don't have any money, no thanks. I tried to be as polite as, but it was really awkward. And she eventually said, I believe you, and walked away. Now, technically, people would say that's sexual assault, but I didn't see it that way. I thought it was really awkward and weird, but I didn't, I didn't find it, I guess, an offense that I should make a big deal out of. And that's what I'm getting at, is that most of the time when this stuff happens, to where men get propositioned by people they don't know, or, they get, maybe, their boss hints at, sex for favors, or whatever. You remember that?
Yeah,
I just dug that one up from like 2014. Checks for favors, and then they more likely to essentially say, well, you know what, that was awkward and weird, but I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go to the cops about it. I'm not gonna make a big stink out of it. I'm just gonna get on with it. And women are sort of the opposite. They actually are more likely to make a big thing out of it. even if it's not much of a thing, or even if they just read into it too much. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that it just makes sense. You know, women tend to be risk averse. They tend to, you know, desire security over freedom. They tend to want to make sure that their environment is safe, and it makes sense evolutionarily speaking. So,
I have a couple of questions that I scrolled back up to find.
okay.
One was from Jax. Ask him about the Parliament response to the recent UK petition. I found it absolutely disgusting because obviously it should be treated the same under law regardless of gender. 100%. I think their response to not change it for the fact that under the current definition that women don't do it a lot, because that was effectively the reason, the fact that women don't, the majority of men, or the majority of rapists are men, they will keep it a crime that requires penile penetration. Well, under the current laws, women can't do it, so that's where you get the skewed data that I was talking about earlier. And you've also got another one from Caitlin. Do you find feminists as the major reason men are not taken seriously, or because men can't manhandle more, they're less likely to report? As the hashtag #MeToo alluded to, men will say about it if they get a chance to.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that when we do get the chance to, we're told to stop derailing, we're told to stop taking the conversation away from women, to basically go to one side while we deal with the women's.
All right, good answer. Thanks for that. I missed that question.
I managed to catch him just out of the corner of my eye.
All right. Let's see if there's any other questions. I'm gonna scroll up a little bit. Majaime says, been groped and felt up on by rando Japanese women while living there than I can recall in numbers. Really? Wow. I didn't know that Japanese women were so forward. And let's see. I'm sorry that happened, dude. Or maybe you're not. I don't know. J Willie series says, why do intersectional feminists always mention that men are more likely to commit rape, but still ignore that the same statistic says that white men are less likely to commit rape than other men? Well, because that's not convenient for the narrative, you know. Intersectional feminists can't do that. I mean, otherwise they'd be talking about, I don't know, the Congo. I hear rape's a problem there.
Almost as bad as college campuses.
Almost, but not quite. Okay, so I got something. Oh yeah, tag us in the question. That way, I'm more likely to see it. Rambam 3000 says, and then Brian went home and washed in Clorox. I did shower immediately. It was. She didn't go down my pants, thank God, but it was still really weird.
It's still something you don't want to.
No.
You feel dirty afterwards.
Let's see. I'm not seeing much here. Oh, Jax L says, no random man has ever grabbed me by the pussy. Hashtag not me. Well, don't feel bad. It's normally, I think lots of men probably want to. They just don't. They don't do it. They hardly any of them really talk about it. I mean, I only know of one instance of somebody talking about it, but it was a blip on the radar. Nobody really cares about that. Joshimo says, does sharing your story outside of men's rights scare you? Or is it merely that you have just been consistently ignored or sidelined by feminists?
It doesn't scare me. It's just, as he said, I've been constantly sidelined and ignored by feminists. I mean, I want to bring the attention to it happening to men so that people, including feminists, understand that it's not a gendered issue. It's a human issue that we need to address. And you can't address the whole problem by only focusing on half of those affected.
Yeah. All right. And Agent Smith asks, oh, crap. Does it ever stop feeling like you are under threat if you speak up about it?
No. There will always be some feminists that will take kindly, take the opposite.
Take issue?
That's the one, thank you. Mm-hmm. Take issue with it because obviously, as I said, I'm derailing the conversation from women so they'll
Right.
take issue for it.
Yeah, and like, well, we've talked about the hashtag Me Too thing. This is it's actually the Me Too thing is actually really annoying because it's almost like every time something happens, somebody wants to turn it into a feminist issue. No matter what happens, if a woman is involved in any way, there's some feminist waiting to turn it into a hashtag and get other people to get it on board so that they can raise awareness. And this is actually, I wonder if they're aware of this because social media is a place where people can get attention by virtue signaling, by complaining about stuff that may not have even happened to them. And because women are more likely to complain about anything, because this is in their nature to do that, then you're going to get a large reaction no matter what. Because you're essentially taking advantage of women's propensity to complain, which is just the fact. It's not sexist, just the way they are. And social media's ability to give attention to people that tend to be vocal and virtue signal and shit like that. So when you combine those things together, and then you're also like, there's always that chance that, if your tweet could end up on like some video someplace on some like ATTN video or some Mike.com thing or Vox or whatever, then people are even more inclined to make a tweet, and they want to be the cleverest, and they want it to have the most impact or be the most emotional or the most woke or whatever. And so you just end up with something that is likely really, really artificially inflated. But it doesn't matter because they don't care about the truth. They just care about what's going to, make the most impact. What's going to trend, what's going to become viral, whatever. And it's actually kind of sad. And so when you have real people that really want to talk about their problems, they get drowned out by all this shit. Like, I would imagine that there's probably a large number of real rape victims that are not using the hashtag at all because they find that it actually trivializes their experience and
Yeah.
it makes it like something less important, right?
Yeah, I mean, my tweet, I said that because I'm often told I'm derailing women when I speak about it, I made a video on what I went through. That had over 30,000 impressions on Twitter. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect it to do that. I was basically tweeting it out for my friends, not friends, but my followers.
Yeah.
I obviously asked, not sure if you know him, but Bunty King to obviously retweet it because I just wanted to raise awareness, and it blew up from there. Now, I didn't want it to blow up. It's just, I just wanted it to be seen a few times so that if there were any men amongst them, they could take the advice in it and go to the police. Now, I am glad it did blow up, but in a way I didn't want it to, because I don't want to be seen as someone who did it, who put my message out there for attention.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. It does make sense.
Oh, that's good.
No, yeah, I follow you. This woman, by the way, this woman who did this to you, was she about your age?
A couple of, I think about a few months older.
A few months older, so about the same age. Okay.
Yeah.
If you, and I'm just this out of curiosity, if you wanted to sort of track her down or find her, do you think you could? Like, are you so disconnected that it'd be impossible?
I'm so disconnected, I've purged her name from my brain.
Okay.
And I couldn't even begin to try and figure out what it was.
All right. All right.
I've buried the memory of that so deep, I doubt it could resurface.
Okay.
But if I could remember the name, then yes, I would track it down and effectively warn others about her.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious, I guess, thinking, I know it's been way too long at this point, but, yeah, I don't know. I just, cause, I'm afraid that, if she's out here and she's probably done this to other people. Hopefully someone else speaks up, and I guess that's why we're talking about what we're talking about. So, all right. Joshimo has another question. Do you feel like elaborating on your drug addiction? And what was your solution, if you wanted to elaborate on that?
My drug addiction obviously spiraled from what happened. I took it to numb my brain effectively, so I couldn't remember it. And as with any drug, it got addicting, so it spiraled into a full-blown addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And to get off of it, my mum recognised that I was on it, so she basically helped me go cold turkey, and I escaped it that way, and escaped the addiction.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, sorry about that. And what was your, oh, I'm sorry, what was the solution?
Basically, the solution is if you feel like you're addicted, get some help. If it's not from counsel or anything, just from a parent or something.
Mm-hmm. Did you have to wean yourself off, or did you just go cold turkey?
Cold turkey.
Okay. Jax L asks, you said others should go to the police, but as you know, the police won't do anything, so why go to the police?
I try to word it in my videos, but in effect is the more men we can get going to the police, the more that they'll see it actually happens. So the more they'll be able to look into it, and the more we'll be able to influence law changes to get it into law that women can rape men, so that when it does happen to a man and he does go to the police, it counts as rape, so that he can get justice.
Yeah, make a big stink out of it. Go to the press, maybe. I don't know. Try that. Be loud. Especially, I mean, at the end of the day, people will see that it's happening, and then maybe that will, spur some change. But definitely make a stink out of it. Or come on Honey Badger Radio. We can do is we can direct you guys. If you're in the UK, maybe you should talk to. Do you know who the Liberty Bells are?
I do not.
They're like the British version of the Honey Badgers, basically. So it's a bunch of women in the UK that talk about men's issues. And they've actually done an interview with Philip Davies. He's one of the MPs there. I'm assuming you know who he is.
I know who Philip Davies is. He's the only politician that openly speaks about men's issues in Parliament.
Yes, exactly. So there's that. So you couldn't, maybe I don't know, this might be a bit of a stretch, but you can certainly contact the Liberty Bells. Just go to their YouTube channel, and they have all their Twitter stuff on there, I think. And then reach out to them. I know some of them personally, like I've met them and we've had them on the show, and maybe they can, help spread your story over there. And hell, maybe they even like talk to Philip Davies and tell him about it. I mean, this is something that he would probably want to jump on, and it's probably your best connection to maybe like getting this, getting some laws changed. So, by the way, is the law in the UK still for rape still described as something that only men do to women?
Yes. I have the full email response from the UK government on my phone. It says the Sexual Offences Act 2003 protects both men and women from serious sexual offending. We are committed to tackling sexual offending in all its forms. All non-consensual sexual penetration is dealt with by specific serious offences, including those that can be committed by a man or a woman. Well, a woman can't penetrate unless it's with an object, so that kind of throws that one out the window. Mm-hmm. For example, the offence of assault by penetration carries the same maximum penalty as rape. The sentences available under the Act for all sexual offences are significant and reflect seriousness of offending. Issues surrounding the definition of rape were considered both in the quote-unquote settings of the boundaries consultation published prior to the introduction of the Sexual Offences Act 2003 and during the passage of that legislation through Parliament. In that consultation, there was a considerable amount of agreement that rape should remain an offence of penile penetration, but that the definition be extended to include penile penetration of the mouth. It is true that rape under Section 1 of the Offences Act 2003 is, in the majority of cases, committed by a man, but there are some rare exceptions where a female is actively involved in the commission of a gang rape. We therefore have no plans to amend the legal definition of rape in the Sexual Offences Act 2003 as suggested by the e-petition. So that's how they get out of changing it, by saying that the current law works and it shows that men only do it, so we can't.
So first you describe rape as something that only a man can do, and then surprise, surprise, only men are doing it.
Yeah, that's what I mean by you get skewed data. It's like when I say to a feminist, if I say only women can shoplift, who would the shoplifting stats show commits the most shoplifting?
Yeah, obviously. It's ridiculous. Oh, God. All right. Are men who rape other men by forcing the other man's penis into their ass classified as rape in the UK? That's from J. Willie series.
Yes.
Well, that's the interesting point is here in the US, we would consider it rape. As long as the man is committing it, it's rape. Yes, that's how it's worded. Yeah. So it's still rape. And if it's happening, when people think of that kind of stuff, for whatever reason, they only consider it to be rape if it's happening in a prison. And when that's happening, it's okay because that guy's in prison. He probably deserves it. It's the weirdest thing. It's like there's a rape culture when it comes to prison rape. It's like when a man goes to jail, that's not the punishment. That's not enough. He also has to get dicked down by some guy on death row that doesn't give a shit about his life. And then that's considered part of the punishment of going to jail, is actually getting raped. That's why we joke about it so much. So weird. It's almost like we don't care. And when a lesbian forces herself on another lesbian with objects or fingers or whatever, I think at least up until 2013 it was just sexual assault.
It's still sexual assault here in the UK.
Yeah, so that means that lesbians can't rape.
Yes, that's effectively what we try to do when we get it changed. It's not just to benefit men who are victims of women. It's also to benefit women who are victims of women.
Mm-hmm. And considering the high rates of domestic violence that happen between lesbian couples, it wouldn't surprise me if we made the laws universal so they could apply to anyone of any sexual orientation, male or female, and then find that the number of lesbians committing acts of rape on other lesbians and other women, maybe women that aren't lesbians that they just really want to have sex with, you might find that number to be, I don't know, a bit higher. But we won't know unless we define the terms correctly and we apply the stuff universally.
Well, yeah, I mean, they did have universal rape laws in India, and it was relatively 50-50, perpetrators and victims. Obviously, perpetrators being women and victims being men, it was relatively 50-50 to that of women. Quote-unquote feminists, because I'm not sure if they call themselves feminists, but the equivalent over in India petitioned and won against the government to get rape a crime only perpetrated by a man.
Yep. Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I don't think India is a special case, so I'm guessing that's probably more likely everywhere.
Yeah.
Joey Jojo gives us $5 and says, "How about that male privilege, though? Am I right?" Yes. Hashtag
it's
him.
Great.
Hashtag him, though. It's so great. Yeah, it's so great. I never have to worry about being raped because apparently I can't be raped, so that's cool. Anyway, are there any other final thoughts? I guess we should probably... Oh, no, that's the same old question. I guess we could just wrap it up. We've talked for about an hour and 20 minutes. Is there anything that you wanted to say or any questions you have for us?
Just one that I noticed quite a while back. I can't remember who said it, but that's what I said. Would you consider doing a rant zerker if Honey Badger invited you. If Honey Badgers want me on anytime, I'll happily come on.
Okay. I'll definitely send the word to Allison about it, and yeah, let her know. So Rancirker, that could be fun. So yeah, I have you on. We're connected on Twitter now, so
Yeah.
excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. I want to thank you guys for coming on and watching. Please leave a comment in the low bar with regarding to what we were talking about. Leave your thoughts on anything. If you agree, disagree, if you love us and hate us, whatever. Please leave a comment. We always look at them. In addition, I want to thank Jax L for sending me your way, or sending you my way. Whatever, either way. But essentially sending me this video so that I could see it, because I wouldn't have seen it otherwise. So thank you, Jax. And yeah, but be sure to like, subscribe, share the video, and also talk about this on Twitter too. Distract as much from the conversation as need be, because apparently, it's at the very least you'll trigger some people that don't want that. But hopefully you'll actually get some other people to think and use their brains for a change. So thank you again for joining us on this episode of the Fireside Chat, and we will talk to you guys next time.